So let me introduce myself a little bit. My real person looks a little bit different from the picture, but hopefully you guys don't mind, okay? So I am the founder for Sun Education, and I will introduce the co-founder, which is Dr. Yan, right here, yeah. So I used to work in New Oriental for quite a long time, like almost 10 years. And after I came here for my MBA, and I find out like a lot of students here, they suffered for the standardized tests and different kind of like tutoring, okay? Then we find out like different way, because I feel like in here, the US, the tutor or the teacher, they train students in a very Western way. Of course, I mean, we are trained, or most of the parents were trained in very Eastern way, right? But neither way is like not really like beneficial, because we need something for the kids. They have to listen to us, and we need to tell them like this is something good for you. So that's the reason we decided to have an organization to put the Western way and the East way together. So we don't want to say, hey, you're good, you're the best, even if they got like, you know, B or C, and you still like, wow, you can do it, you're great, that's fine. Just let the kids be kids. We're not doing like kind of way, okay? But on the other hand, we don't really want to push the kids to like, oh, you know, do a lot of practice, because practice makes perfect, because we don't believe that either. Okay, so today we're going to, this is Dr. Yan, and Dr. Yan is a tenure professor, and also Dr. Yan is like our head teacher for the math and science. So we met in 2014, and then we just decided to work together to help the students. So you can see the record of most students, like SAT math and also the math 2, and it has huge improvements. Today we're going to talk about the strategy not to worry about or stress out about your standardized test. Okay. So the first thing we want to talk about is the strategy for the perfect SAT score. First, I want to ask you guys, how many of the parents or students want to get a like high score? When I say high score, it's like 1,550 above. Yes, okay. Why? Because I hear a lot of parents complain, it's like, you know, Asian students make the test score really hard for the rest of students to get, because you guys got 1,550 above or 1,600. What am I going to do if I got a 1,300? Well, it's this reality, right? So we have to really get like high score, high GPA, do a lot of activities, and it shows like we're awesome in order to get really competitive schools, right? Well, you may think like, oh, you know, this is not fair. We need to change the system. We need to cancel all the score. We need to, you know, ask because there's no GPA, no standardized test score. Then my question is like, so how? How they can find out smart kids or, you know, like outstanding kids? So I think for quite a while, this kind of like revolution won't really happen. So we really have to get the kids ready, you know? So before I talk about the strategy, I want you to ask a question for yourself, okay? What type of learner is my child, okay? Because we do have the situation, the students not really, you know, kind of like buy whatever you say. You say, hey, study hard. It's like, Mom, I know, okay? And then they say, hey, can you stop using your phone? Oh, I know, but I have to chat with my friends. And then you may find your kids like really laid back, and you have no idea how to do it. And a lot of situations, like they push the kids, do a lot of questions, do a lot of practice, and some of the moms even bought all the books on the market. They buy like huge amount of the books and let them to do it, but end up like it's all brand new. So they'll have to donate somewhere else. So if your kids is really self-motivated, probably 1 or 2 meetings, maybe they can solve their issue, okay? Maybe they can improve very fast. I have some Gang High students, the student from Gang. They had like less than 10 classes with me, and then they got perfect score. I also have students who have been working with me for 1 year in order to get their goal score. So it really depends on what type of personality your kid is. The other part is SAT, ACT, which benefit better or which fit better. Because if your kid is really good at math and like fast reader, and probably ACT is a better choice. Otherwise, SAT is better choice because they give you more time to think. You know, right now, a lot of students, they like thinking, you know. They like to think what they say, why they say it. They need to give some time to process those little comprehension parts. So the other part is like, which part is the weak point? I don't think math is an issue for most of the students, okay? But we do see a lot of students struggling in the reading and the writing. So here's the question, it's kind of a miracle. because I still remember the first time when I teach one of the students in gown, and I walk into the classroom, the student just looked at me like very panicked, and then he asked his mom, "Are you kidding me? You bring a Chinese teacher to teach me English?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm serious. Let's try out." So after 1 hour class, he was like, okay, it makes sense, and then it's really helpful, okay? So that's how I started. And then also, I told most of my students, I say, because second language learner, they learn English in a grammar way and in a sentence structure, and then they learn in a very specific, like scientific way, not like native speaker, right? And I also proved to them like, hey, like Chinese is good, right? So how about your Chinese grammar? It turned out like their Chinese grammar is even worse than their English grammar. So if you learn English as second language speaker, you have more power to master a language for a test. I'm not saying like speech or like a language expression. I'm saying like a test. So that's why even you read a lot of books, but when it's come to the question, they ask you why the writer said this. Oh, it's because it's wrong. Okay, so they don't really think in the test way, but they are standardized the test, so they need to give you A, B, C, D. So in order to find out what is the wrong answer, what is the right answer, you need to know what is the feature and what is the rules when they create the wrong answer, when they create the right answer. So we know right answer, there's only one, right? But in order to create the other three answer choices is wrong, but it's like sounds like reasonable. They need to have some regulations. So that's why usually I told my students, I say, when you say extreme words in the answer choices, that's usually wrong. Because they're not going to give you like absolutely right or absolutely wrong answer choices. They want to sound firm, they want to sound like really extremely. That's why when you say extreme words, that's wrong. So some of the words, we put them together to let a student understand, like in this situation, when I saw those words, I need to give a second thought, okay? So the other part is like, what is the goal school? All right, I know like Ivy climbers, okay? Everybody maybe are Ivy climber, or secret Ivy climber, because nobody gonna announce, okay, my kid's gonna go to Stanford for sure. Nobody gonna do that, okay? But in the deep of the heart, we want the kids to get higher as much as they can, right? Even if it's not maybe Ivy, but maybe something better. So how can we push them to there? Or if your kids is not like Ivy candidate, probably we have some other way to figure out. So just like briefly introduce. So SAT, ACT. So you want to get a fully understand about the score and the range, and you want to know like, hey, SAT has only 4 parts, SAT have 5 parts. So if you're not pretty good in science, don't go for ACT, go for SAT. So there's a good news. For ACT, they got some revolutionary change. So it's like every part you can take separately in 2020, okay? Maybe starting fall. So is it good news? Yes, it's good, because that means everybody can get a good score, because you can take math this time. Next time you take English. They take English, it's not really good, take again, only English. So that's good news. That means my kid's gonna get a good score. Yes, but that's also a bad news. That means everybody who take ACT will get a similar score, right? So the most important thing in the college application part is how you can stand out. With the same score, it's hard. So that's why we still value SAT a little bit more in this situation. The other part I want to talk a little bit is like why strategy. Actually this is a really struggle, like a very hot topic for everybody to argue about, because a lot of parents feel like, oh no, I'm not letting you to train my kids to become a test machine. We're not late for the test. We're not training any kids to be the test machine, because test machine was trained by doing a lot of practice. So if you put her somewhere to do the mock test from morning to the night every single day, you think you're gonna get a good score? No, that's called training a test machine. So by putting everything together and make less work, we want to teach kids how to study smarter, not harder. So we did actually a calculation, right? So that the data we tracked it before. Most of the students finish their SAT ACT score within 20 hours with us. Okay, so we don't really recommend them to do a lot of tests, and actually we're against that, because when you do tons of practice, you are repeating your right answer. That's waste of time, and you're repeating your mistakes. That's waste of time, because you are repeating your mistakes and you can't really improve. So the other part we want to say is like I personally feel like SAT, ACT are really good tests, because they do test the student's ability. They are like a detail-oriented, creative approach, and they also test you some like problem-solving method and skill. So I think if you really cannot get a high scoring SAT, you cannot claim like, my kids is really smart, it's just not really good at the test. Because they test you like very comprehensive way to understand about the reading, writing, grammar, and also the math skill. And Dr. Yan will talk a little bit more about it. So we think this is like using the quality practice, using the strategy, it can save the problem and save the time, so the kids can do whatever they want with the time they saved. So we don't really believe that, okay? We already said that. So this is like a comparison of the test structure. So I want you guys to, so take a picture of that, okay? So for SAT part, the reading section, writing section, so the time is a little bit different, and the structure is a little bit different. Actually, the total time is almost same, but SAT a little bit like longer. So it must be very exhausting. Yeah, it is very exhausting. That's why. So a lot of students say, you let me do it step by step or part by part, I can do better score. And I say, of course. They say, why this test is so long and so exhausting? And I say, because that's how they select students. Because we know if you want to be successful in the future, you don't really need to be really smart, but you actually you need to be physically very strong. You can, like handle long working hour and keep doing something without, getting frustrated easily. So that's why it's like a long time. So the math part, I want Dr. Yin to introduce a little bit. Actually, it's not like as easy as most people thought. Because last month, I have a student, when she found us, she got us 800 for math, and she got 700 for reading and writing. So she's like, oh, we only want you to help us for the English part, and then we're going to take again. So for December test, she got 800 for reading and writing. So it's like, because of me. But she got a 750 on the math. So it can be the same score. So it's kind of like struggle. So we want you to a little bit like understand more about the math part. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so one thing I want to kind of tell parents here is like if you have not really kind of not familiar with SAT and ACT, one thing very important that differentiates the two tests is probably you want to ask your student, or if you know your kids better, is that how fast is your child in solving problems? Because speed is very, very important in ACT. And of course, on the other hand, they require you to solve the problem faster. On the other hand, they make the problem simpler. So as you can see from here, now ACT only has the capital section, but SAT math actually has two sections. One non-capital section and one capital section. And also we know multiple choice questions for multiple choice questions students actually guess, right? If they have if they have a very good luck, probably they will get the right answer. And the SAT not only includes multiple choice questions, it also includes some reading or full response questions. So that makes the problems actually harder. But in terms of coverage, a lot of parents ask us when the students can take SAT. So I usually tell them that for math, at least, once they finish Algebra 2, they are ready in terms of content. Because even when they move on into further math, and those topics will not help them with SAT math. But those more advanced topics will help with ACT. Okay, so in other words, ACT has a wider coverage, starting from pre-algebra until trigonometry. So for students who have not taken trigonometry, they have to wait. They can take SAT and they can try ACT after they finish trigonometry or pre-calculus. Okay, but in terms so here based on the content coverage again, SAT has a narrow range of topics, but also tests those topics at a deeper level. So most of the problems in SAT are multiple step problems. That's the other reason why they give you more time to think. And the ACT on the other hand, it tests a wider range of topics, ranging from pre-algebra to pre-calculus, but all the topics are tested at much shallower level. So most problems are actually single steps. And that's also the reason why they expect students to move on very fast, less than 1 minute each question. And for the science section, science section is considered one of the most challenging sections in ACT for two reasons. One is placed at very end, the very last required section. And usually when students get to this section, they are very tired. okay? And therefore, some students don't do well in the ACT science section, not necessarily because they don't know how to solve the problem, because they are very tired toward the end. So that's why we train them like how to stay energy during the test. Especially you need to maintain that energy level toward the end. And your performance cannot suffer simply because you're tired. But in terms of the, well, SAT does not have a science section, obviously, but it includes 2 science passages in the reading section. Therefore, they also expect you to have the ability to understand a scientific passage and then understanding results. Okay? You can interpret scientific findings. But of course, there's no way compares to the knowledge that you need to know for the ACT science section. Just like June said, if the student has is very interested in science, whether it's chemistry, biology, or physics, that means the student actually has a strong scientific reasoning skill, and then ACT science section will be a good fit for the student. Okay. But then, and also we have seen students who have not taken biology classes or have not taken chemistry classes before they start taking ACT, they actually got very good score. Why? Because this section does not test any advanced science knowledge. So the basic science knowledge we actually can teach them some basic science knowledge. What is needed actually is scientific reasoning skill. Yeah. Just there's some misconception about those tests. So we want to tell students and parents, and when you are ready, or at least you can start preparing for those tests. Yeah, this is just an example here. So usually students, when they look at this graph, they start panicking. They worry, it's so complicated. But we tell them some strategy that each problem only tests one part of the figure. So you just need to know which part of the figure being tested here, and then you can find the answer very quickly. You don't have to study the figure and then look at it. That's really a waste of time.
What means grading?
Oh, grading is that means like you have to mark the answer. You have to fill in the answer by yourself. There's no answer choices, not multiple
There's no
choices.
single answer.
Oh yeah. Oh no, multiple choice actually. That gives you multiple choices and then you pick one.
Oh, not multiple answers.
Yeah, not multiple answers, multiple choice.
So I want to introduce like very fast about how we separate the SAT ACT question based on the question types. This is what we do. Usually we don't go through from beginning to the end, so we do the opposite way. We start from the question type. For example, if you look at SAT, you can say SAT focus more on the big picture question, because the 17% of big picture question, that refers to one idea, the whole passage, that's like big picture. If you look at the ACT, that's only 14%. So after we compare the 2 tests, the reading section, we realize that SAT actually give more time to think, and plus they focus more on the bigger picture, and ACT is more like a detail-oriented test. So if the ACT student cannot get an answer, usually I just tell them like in which line, they read it, they get it. But for SAT, they know exactly where they are, they read it, but they cannot get it. So SAT more focused on how they make the literal comprehension, but ACT is just like find where it is. Okay, so for the ACT, it doesn't really provide you any evidence question, but SAT they do. So because these 2 tests belongs to 2 organizations, and they really like competing with each other. So that's why right now the test is kind of like getting similar and similar. Some of the question, the ACT borrow from SAT, and SAT try to lower the difficult level. They try to get closer to the ACT because people complain about their score. The SAT also offers some of the landscaping and also like diversity score. I don't know if you guys heard about that. So we will talk about that topic very soon because we did a lot of research and we want to offer you guys what is the way to know your adversity score right before you start going to the college process. Okay. So this is one example comparison. I want to use this example to show you guys why some students just do slow. A lot of students told me, hey, I'm really good in reading. I like reading books, but I can't finish. That's why I think I might need a lot of practice. And then after a lot of practice, I'm still slow. I can't really hurry up because if I speed up, I don't understand what's going on. So this is a real example. Usually I tell them like, oh, because reading the book and then reading the test, the article is quite 2 different things. It's very different. For example, you have to finish reading everything in order to read all the answer choices to figure out the right answer. That's usually people do, right? But if you know the strategy, you know how people design the test, you exactly find out there is alike, and there's a comparison there is a principal, there is a strength, there is like a personal account, so you'll know exactly which one to choose. Because like, and you choose A directly without reading the whole answer choices. That's how they design. That's why it's called a fast reading. It's not reading words by words in details and with a lot of time, okay? All right, so that's how it works. I just want to show you like very fast because I noticed there's no students today, so that's why I want to just, I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, you know, I'm trying to test you, okay? Actually, I test some parents because I know one of the dad was like very mad with the kids, like, why, you know, the reading, I paid this, paid that, why you still cannot improve? Then they come to me and they argue each other in front of me. I was like, well, let's do this, okay? Let's do one test together, or one passage, okay? You want to do it? And the kids was very, you know, excited. They said, yeah, I want to do it. And the dad's like, no, don't waste my time. I said, no, seriously, if you can get the same thing, you get out. You know, you don't want to complain, right? Because if you complain to him all the time, it doesn't work out. So they just literally do one passage in front of me, and then the kids win, you know? All right, so, and after that, the kids would like to learn more because he always want to conquer the dad, you know? It's a really funny story, okay? I can share more later. So this is writing section. Writing section, same thing. So they all test you about English grammar, okay? For English grammar, I just feel like students who are in the private school get a better grammar foundation. I don't know why, but it just kind of like, pretty typical, pretty common, I would say. But for public students, the foundation of the grammar is like really varying, okay? So I don't know how many parents would like to spend some time to go through the grammar with them, but I do feel like that's necessary. That's really necessary, okay? So without grammar, even their native speaker, their writing, their reading, their essay cannot go anywhere. Trust me, because yesterday I was editing one of college essay. When I look at those essay and I found like so many stuff like that, it's pretty cool. Those kind of things, I was like, hey, you know, you're applying for law major and you're saying that's pretty cool, stuff like that. I don't really know if you have to be a lawyer with kind of like tone like that. Okay, so I would say you have to change it. So when I talk to the student don't really know what is written English, what is oral English. So that's how they talk, that's how they write. So I really think we should pay attention, no matter what kind of college you go, have a good foundation for the grammar and essay. That's definitely going to help them and get along the way, okay? So the essay part for ACT, SAT, I'll go definitely for SAT because they give you a passage to read. Then you just need to analyze the rhetorical element. For example, what kind of words they use simile, they use metaphor, what function they're using, what the message they try to deliver, in what way, what is the tone. But for ACT, they give you 3 perspectives, and then they drive you crazy. For example, perspective 1, saying people should put a safety belt because that's for their safety, it's law. Perspective 2, saying, you know, that's people's freedom to choose not wearing safety belt or wearing safety belt. It's the freedom, they should protect their rights. And number 3, they talk about something else. Then they ask you, okay, can you analyze each perspective and then give your own perspective? Okay, so then the students start writing and then they find like they're against each other, then they, in the end, they don't know what they're talking about. So the logic's kind of like mess out. So I would say it's hard to improve in a short time, and SAT, you definitely have some like formula to learn, and you know what is like, you know, the very typical test paper. So I want to go very fast for the test for the AP and the subject, and these 2 tests, definitely everybody is trying to take some, right? So a lot of students ask me like how many APs I should take. I personally believe if you can get all 5 or more than 4, you can take as many as possible. But if you get like 3, 2, or even, you know, lower, just better know. Because this is the test to show you are strong in academic part, right? If you show you are weak, you better just don't show it, right? So that's why when you consider taking the subject and AP, just please prepare. And I know the May is the AP test date, right? It's AP test season. So please get your kids started right now. Don't wait for March, because most of students come to us at end of the March or beginning of April. And there's only several days, and they ask me, how can I improve my AP Latin? How can I improve my AP US history? And I was like, oh, that's very long history. I cannot even tell you all the story within the 10 days. So in that situation, it's not really good. So there's some like secret I want to share, but it's not really necessary. Everybody had to do it. most of the kids, they start preparing their high school, like the US history, European history, or world history, starting very early, even grade 8 or younger. So they start reading the books about that, they're starting telling a story about that, so when it's come to the class, they're not really feel like, oh, this is really panic, I have no idea what's the day, what's the year, who is who. So probably you can just give them a, separate it, put them piece by piece, let them to, start enjoying and doing a little bit better in the test part. Oh, so the other part is should you take both as a subject and the AP? So for this part, I think most people will take both, but actually you only need to take the subject. For AP, if you want to apply for competitive school, you have to take it. Otherwise, not really necessary. Like what I said, we do see the students with 12 APs, 8 subjects, full SAT scores, and almost a full GPA, getting nowhere, okay? He's getting UC, that's somewhere, but it's not like somewhere he thought he can get into, super, super top. We also see students getting SAT about around 1,500, 2-3 APs, GPA is 4.0 something, and getting very top schools. So besides test, we want to say the reason why we want to spend time to train their test because we want to save time for them to do something else, like all the activities, like all the interest explore. They want to explore more instead of doing too much time. So now the question is when they should take their SAT and when they start to prepare their SAT. So my suggestion is they should take SAT when they are grade 8. When they are grade 8, so which is the summer of grade 8. Why they do so? Because they're not recorded. Yeah, it's not recorded. Basically, just give a try. Okay, so if you give a try, you know exactly when you want to start taking. If the foundation is really good, you can just wait until grade 10 for the summer vacation, summer camp. If really, not really good, reading section, my daughter, my son has to, start early. So that gives you a little bit concept. Because we know starting from grade 9, everything is recorded and all the, activities, everything is listed. So you probably want to start a little bit early, yeah.
So in the summer of 8th grade finished, so you suggest to take SAT. How about SAT, essay? Should take that too?
I think if you want to take, you should take all. Anyways, it doesn't count. So it's just give it a try. So this is, just very brief idea. If you are not really academic driven, you want to focus more about personality or the characteristic, all the other things. So the earliest time to take is before grade 11. So we really know they have aggressive parents and kids. They have less aggressive parents, but no late than grade 11. Because I do see a lot of students struggle in the grade 11 with GPA, with your activities, with your APs, with your finals. Actually, they don't have time to well prepare for their SAT, it end up not really good. Some parents believe the score should be very fresh, so they want to apply with the freshest score, so they might want to take their SAT in August after grade 11 finish. I also respect that kind of decision, but it's kind of really risky because I'm not really sure he can handle essay for college and plus all the rest of things and plus prepare for SAT, and also you have only one time. So that's pretty much the thing. So if you're currently grade 11, so you only have actually 3 times. You have March, you have June, and then you have August. So March is very close now, right? So for the June, you have your finals. So you have to struggle a little bit. And for August, so that's the whole summer. If spend a little bit of time, it's okay. If it's not spending any time preparing for it, that will be a concern. Yeah, that will be a concern. But never ever let them just go directly after they get a nice grade. Let them just go try. Just don't do that because I do have students. They try the first time, not good. So they prepare a little bit. The second time, not really good. So finally they take it seriously, and then they prepare really hard, and then they got really good score. But the thing is, if you look at all the history, it's bad, bad, good. So they might think the bad, bad is okay. The good one is the maybe luck, right? So that's not really good. So how many times you should take SAT? I would say if you really want to show you're strong, just take it once. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't emotionally feel exhausted. Just take it once. Give it a one-time shot. That's it. So you prepare it, and then you just take it, and whatever you got it, that's it. So I think that's the less stress way to prepare for that.
When you say 8th grade summer, so that's on your way to 9th grade, so that summer is still not considered?
That's not considered, yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, that's give it a try. Don't think like, oh, after I took that one, I don't need to take it anymore. No,
So
I'm
it's
saying.
not recorded?
Yeah, that's not recorded. It's just like a give it a try to let her understand, like, high school started, that's something serious you're gonna start in. You really have to think about it. It's not like hanging around anymore. You cannot get lost anymore. Well, you can, but just wait for 4 years and then get lost later. Yeah, usually I talk to students like that way. So you need to get them like a warm up. So I would say put the stress at the beginning. So in the end, they feel like, oh, everything is like really step by step, really calm. I don't want just like, 9th grade, happy, 10th grade, happier, and then 11th grade, jump. Okay, it's because I see a lot of GPA. If you look at the resume, you just all starting getting B or C or something, starting from 11th grade. Some of them earlier, depends on school. So just kind of like put an alert right before. Well, even they got a B, I told my students, well, B doesn't mean anything. It just like look very different from A, but a B do shows like there's something might be wrong. So you need to figure out what is that, right? If you figure out what is that, it will be better, yeah. So find someone to talk to the person, talk to the kids. I think that would be best. And the most important thing is like, just, when you want to push them or when you want to just secretly push them, just really need the strength. Yeah, really need the strength.
SAT should be done before 11th.
My suggestion, yeah, because after they got SAT down, they got a good score in the 11th grade, they focus on the rest of the part. The GPA is going to spend a lot of time on it, and I do see students like happier than most of the students. Yeah. So, do I need to prepare for SAT 2 if I prepare for AP? Well, the answer is no, because these are 2 different tests, right? So Dr. Ying's introducing.
Yeah, I also don't know how many parents here actually have kids currently in high school. And I also don't know how much you know about these 2 tests. So you can see that SAT or ACT is the first, maybe the lowest level test. And then follow SAT slash ACT, that's SAT subject. So SAT subjects test your domain knowledge in a particular subject. For example, if students are very strong with math, of course you want to take SAT Math 2. That's the highest level of math under SAT. Okay, so SAT subject Math 2. And if you are interested in biology, of course take SAT biology. But AP is the next level, because AP stands for Advanced Placement Test. And this is basically equivalent to the first year college courses. That's why when June said that students will suffer, because AP courses probably are equivalent to 2 honor level courses. So you can see that if a student takes 5 APs, that is equivalent to 10 honor courses. So then they suddenly become so stressful. Okay? They basically invest all their time into those courses, starting from 11th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the APs, we want just to kind of like skip a little bit. We want to go very fast for the material. So don't buy them all. Don't only find the free full sources. Don't try the classes. I think you better find out like the teacher that they like and they would like to listen to, and talk with the teacher about a strategy and a plan. Just get it down. So this is our suggestion. Okay. I want to kind of like show you a little bit of result. It's like this is like showy time. I'm a little bit cocky here. Sorry about that. So we do want to share the result because we want to show the confidence about your kids. You're one of them. So most of the students, they can get a pretty good score. So we did a little bit like a data analysis. We found out like national level is really low, and Dr. Yan was like, I was shocked that like the average score is 900. How could it be? I was like, well, that's the truth. So that's why for a high score, let's say 1,450 above, that's like okay score. But if you are really competitive school and you want to, get in the higher, you probably get 1,500 above. But if you get 1,540 and then some parents come to me, can you make my kids getting full score? I would say that 60 doesn't really worth of your time and energy and money. So I would say just don't focus only on that, okay? Because our philosophy is you get everything to show you're well-rounded. Actually, you have to be well-rounded. You do want to be successful in the future, right? So that's why, just to focus more. Yeah.
So can you please show me this picture? So
Yeah.
from this picture, can I say the work history AP is the hardest?
Yes, you can see that.
And the calculus BC is the easiest.
Oh, no.
Depends on. If you ask me to take the calculus BC, I will get a 0. So depends on
Because
who
most
take
students
it.
don't even reach that part in
Yeah.
the high school. Yeah, so only very advanced student will reach that part. Yeah.
But every student will take it with you, we don't want.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and if they dare to take the calculus BC,
Yeah.
they already have a good foundation. Yeah, they already have a good foundation.
World history of 50% of the family.
That means,
Well,
well,
that's only for full scores, so we only consider, like, we only count the percentage students who receive the perfect score, which is 5. Yeah, so, you're talking about Oh, so, yeah, so national average is like 8.7% of students who took AP work history last year got 5.
yeah,
But
and
50 of our students.
actually, I want to share a little bit more. I think the question comes from like, if the AP test is so hard, why should you choose AP World History, right? So yeah, the easiest one is U.S. history. The second one is world history. The hardest one is European history. It's European history. So if you not really like it, just be careful when you choose it. Some students are really interested in it when they started doing it. They just kind of like don't remember, William II, okay, they got crazy. And then, so we do help them to draw a map to figure out who's William 1, 2, 3, 4, but that still need a lot of patience, yeah. So this is like the percentile for SAT, and this is our 6-month record, and I do believe students can reach that kind of score within 6 months. This is pretty long enough. Just don't start too early, but just focus on the foundation. Make sure they have the habit like reading it, but when they read it, don't just like read it. You need to talk about it. Well, what's the purpose? What's the main idea? Can you tell the book? Can you retell? So those kind of like detail, we want you to focus on it. This is like a 2-month case. We meet once a week. Actually, I think this is Palo Alto students. Yeah. So this is Palo Alto students. You get a full score. So we also have 10-hour case. It's like 10-hour voting for the full score for the percentile. And yeah, we want to just show this is like the way we want to help the students. For the ACT, we get a 30 to 35. And yeah, we get a lot of like full scores. Yeah, so I was joking with Dr. Yen. I was like, I feel like being a teacher in STEM education is pretty hard and challenging because most students come here, they already have the dream score most of the students they want, and then they still want us to help them out. So yeah, every time I'm having class with a student, I feel like I'm swelling because it just really, it's really good already, but just like whenever we go to test and mess up, we don't know why. So for the students who are not really have a good foundation, it's easier to improve like hugely in a short time because we know what type of question, what type of grammar is that, and we just focus on that specific question. We collected all the similar questions, put them together. So basically, they're not doing the tons of practice. They do the practice is like the selective questions after I did a lot of like research and I prepare for them. So they save the time and then they improve. I see like a lot of bright kids, they got like really huge improvement. I'm very happy about that. So yeah, so I think this is more like a general. We want to save a little bit of time for Q&A. So if you have any question, you can ask me and Dr. Yan very fast. If you want to make a phone call or just talk more face-to-face in the future, we're located in Cupertino, but most of students taking the online class with us. So we have a lot of college students, and also we have San Francisco students, even East Coast students, a student from Singapore, a student from Canada. Like we do like online. A lot of students, they don't want to travel, they just want to getting online class to getting easier to assess the teacher. Yeah.
What do you mean online? It's a lifetime or it's just like a
Yeah.
lesson? Just
We use Zoom, so we open the Zoom and yeah, we do it live. And
Oh, you do live?
Yeah, we share the screen and we write everything, we record it, and when we share, yeah, it's live interactive class. Yeah. So most likely they have to do a lot of homework after class. It's just like we solve the core like issue, and they understand like where they need to improve, so they need to slow down when it's come to something they're not really good at. Yeah. Because my students, I know one of the students in Gown, he never figured out how to use the punctuation of comma. So basically when he used comma, he just comma, whatever he wanted comma, And then I told him like the comma, comma splice, dangling modifier, like so many different sentence structure. So he can figure out. Then we figure out like, the essay improved a lot because of the grammar issue. So I would say if you really want to shooting for a high score, math has to be full score, 800. And the writing, which is English grammar section, has to be 400. So that's 1,200 already, right? So for reading section, you just need to figure out what type of question they get a mistake. Because what type of question got a mistake shows what type of thinker you are. Some students, they are so good, but they never understand what is the purpose of the writer saying this. So they always put their own thinking, and they sound very reasonable. And they already forgot what the writer trying to say. They just put their own thinking in it. Some students, they just hard to figure out what is the inference question. It's like what you can infer from the passage. They just cannot figure out. That may be they need a little bit more practice for, like logical expression, and maybe if students really like the debate, they are good at inference question, but really easy to choose like tricky questions. And then they say, oh, I figure out. So a lot of students told me, I really easy to figure out my right answer as long as you told me that's wrong, because I struggle in two. So one is wrong, the other one is right. So the second time I always correct in the right, but I would say no, that's not. So you really want to spend less time on trying to figure out why the wrong answer is wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is very funny because a lot of students, when they come to a teacher or tutor, they got wrong in B, they explain to them why B is wrong. Oh, I got it. So next time, the answer they chose, they know why they should have chosen it, but they don't. They still cannot figure out how to get the right one. So I told my students, never try to figure out why the wrong is wrong. Try to start again, find out the right path. That's very different, right? So if you understand what I say, I think you understand it better. I remember one of my students had a very inspiring conversation with me. After I told her, I say, you need to always figure out why the right is right. Do not figure out why the wrong is wrong. And then she's like, oh yeah, I know. If the friend is not a real friend, I shouldn't ask why she's not my friend, why she doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I should start to look for a right friend. I was like, smart, I'm gonna write it down. Okay, so the kids give you a lot of different thinking. Their little heads have a lot of thoughts like we can never imagine. So yeah, I think test prep is fun if they spend less time. Yeah.
Yes, so earlier you mentioned about the differences between ACT and SAT, right? So overall, is the way that you prepare for it and also the strategies for taking them very different? Do people focus on preparing for SAT versus ACT, or the rule applies for both?
It's different. Yeah, it's different. For example, for ACT, you basically cannot read only the beginning and the end to figure out the main idea. You have to read through the whole thing and then focus more on the content right after the transition words, and that can connect it to the main idea. It's like a pieces of information all together. It's kind of like a throw apart. But for SAT, it's really clear structure. So you only need to read the beginning, read the end. If you feel confused, go to the end of passage, you get it. Sometimes you read the title, you get the answer. So it's like well structured. That's why you need to know what is the bone of the passage. But unfortunately, most people, they learn to appreciate the beauty of the words. So they are buried in the words and the sentences. They forgot to check the structure and the bones of the passage. So that caused them, feel like reading a lot and go back to find out where they talk about, but they don't know where they should talk about. Yeah. So it's kind of like different.
So when they work with you, they have to pick like, I want to prepare for SAT versus ACT.
Usually we give the two tests for them to figure out. Yeah, which one they feel more comfortable. Yeah, after assessment test, they understand better. To be honest, some students are very aggressive, they took a 2. They got SAT very good, and then they come to me like, I want to take ACT. I'm like, I thought you could get SAT down. They say yes. So they got ACT 36, they got SAT 1,550. Yeah, so I would say it really depends on the students. Yeah.
There's some overlapping between the two, but then there's some differences. Yeah. So for the grammar part, you have to know, like same grammar for both.
Yeah, this grammar foundation is kind of like similar, but the way they test is different.
Quick question, the SAT 2 math, what topics were covered?
Oh,
And what grade, maybe 10s or 11s?
after they finish pre-calculus.
Oh, pre-calculus.
Yeah. Oh, it really depends on. I know at Gang High, students can take math 2 and get perfect score when they finish algebra 2. Honor. Yeah. That's the
daughter is in
the
Palo,
quality.
so I don't know.
Oh yeah. So that really depends on like how deep the school curriculum goes. If I say pre-calculus, maybe some schools don't even offer, they just honor Algebra 2, and that honor Algebra 2 covers some of the mechanics.
Do we have anyone who is under grade 9? Students like under grade 9? Okay. All right. Okay. Good. You guys are really smart because you want to prepare ahead. Okay. Because right now currently I'm taking care of one of the students who currently is grade 3. Yes, third grade. Seriously. Yeah. So I got a pretty stressful after I took care of her because my son is kindergarten. So I was like, wait, I need to, but I do see, when they are advanced, they will keep being advanced all the time until the end of the world, I would say. So when I say the first grader, and they are like a third grade level, when the third grader, they're already sixth grade level, I can't imagine, sixth grade level when they are third grade. So what are they gonna do, right? So basically that's something amazing. I would say if you're under grade 9, just to focus on reading and read more, read like various kind of like material. Don't only read the fiction, please, okay? Because fiction, everybody love it. Just don't read the fiction. Read a different kind of materials and try to build up the good habit of like thinking and reading and then writing, and then start to like the practice for the vocabulary, maybe play some vocabulary. That's the good way to start accumulating more things. Yeah. So this is something I want everybody to be aware. So because we all want our kids to be successful, right? So if you're so early, that means you are tiger parents. No, I'm kidding. But I think that's a really good way for helping the kids to be successful. Yeah.
So you mentioned that for SAT, you can take the subjects separately.
Yeah.
Can you do that for SAT?
Oh, yeah, actually, that's for ACT, not for SAT. For ACT.
ACT, they change.
Starting from later.
They have done like a change. Yeah.
SAT,
ACT. Yeah. And always SAT is more valuable compared to ACT because ACT want to do easier. They want everybody to get a good score. For example, the essay before they're 36 as a full score, but the student get like poor score, so they're not happy. That's why they want them to feel happy. They change the full score to be 12. So even you really suck in the essay, you get 8, but that doesn't look that bad because total score is 12. But 8 is the best score. So SAT the score is more reasonable, I would say. If I'm a college main, I would look at the score. I feel like the SAT is better. Yeah.
So the SAT essays are optional, so do you always recommend taking them?
Oh yeah, so SAT will be optional. Chicago saying we don't want an SAT anymore. But I submitted several applications for Chicago, and the one got offered all get SAT. I don't have any students who doesn't have SAT score got offered yet, but I will keep you updated if there's someone. So when they say everything is optional, I mean they say activity is optional, right? They say volunteer optional, summer camp optional. They say you don't need to learn any kind of like sports. Sports is optional, sure, right? So yeah, don't believe optional. Just yeah, you have to prove you are the best and that you can stand out. So you have to really consider the optional to be not optional.
So
Yeah, all the essays should be. How can you prove like you're good at essay and you're not to do the essay and later for the qualification you're gonna write essay? Who's gonna write it for you? Right? And same thing, for the essay you make a very bad score, and for the college essay it's really polished by someone else, and how you're gonna tell, right? So you just like train them to have like a solid foundation. I think that works for us.
So you, how much SAT essay can be improved in a short time?
Essay? Well, it depends on how you cover it. I would say I have a student 2 hours getting high score. I give the formula, they understand what I say, they got it immediately. I also have students, they even struggle writing a piece of sentences like still have write-on sentence or something. So it's really comprehensive stuff, so you have to say what kind of level they are. If they're a good writer, they just don't know how the essay should be presented in the test, that will be very fast. Yeah. I also have one student in Gang, I remember, he got a full score in essay. I just only have 1 hour meeting with him. Yeah, I told him like what should put at beginning, what should put second, what is the structure, what is the score, how they're gonna score you, and then he just got the full score. Before he just write whatever he wants, but he doesn't really know what is the way.
We don't learn from school. You mean how to write essay?
tell you how to write essay in school, but SAT is not a school stuff, so I don't think they're gonna tell you. And then the most important thing is, a lot of students think like, oh, you know, I'm really high GPA, I'm gonna be fine for SAT. But SAT is college level. It's not high school level. For example, the passage, the high school passage is more about the black and white. Good people, bad people, right? But the SAT essay is more like nuance. They won't tell you something is proved or disproved. They just discuss about it, and then they are quite open for your conclusion. And then the kids got lost. What is that? So what are they trying to say? They didn't try to say anything. They just try to deliver some information and to inspire you to think a little bit more. And everybody should be, you know, talk about it. They don't really do black and white. So when it's come to the answer choices, they kind of like just cannot figure out. So we would say college using the SAT score is not looking for students who they want to train them to be successful. They are picking up students who will be successful no matter what. Then they want to take the credit, right? Yeah, I think that may make sense. Yeah. You probably want to write down the phone number or click our website to see the blog, because we write a lot of like articles to sharing different information, like how to apply, what is the best way. So you look at the articles every single day. You will train yourself to be a counselor with time. Yeah, with time. Yeah, so phone number is 408-216-9109. And if you want, you can add me on the WeChat, and you can always WeChat me. Yeah. A lot of parents that use WeChat, they can WeChat me. All right, thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Yeah.